The wind howled across the plains. A deserted ranch stood alone. Fences broken, windows shattered, doors creaking. Folks called it cursed. Daniel Hayes, a struggling farmer, rode up to its gates. His farm had failed, his pockets were empty, and his family hadn't eaten a full meal in weeks. When he asked about the ranch in town, people whispered, "Belonged to the Crawfords once. They vanished overnight. Anyone who stays there doesn't last long." But Daniel didn't flinch. "I don't need luck. I need land." The mayor signed it off for free. No one else wanted it. That night, Daniel lit a lantern inside the empty ranch house. The silence was thick. The walls carried old stains, claw marks across the doorframe, and the floor groaned like it hadn't been walked in for years. Daniel whispered to himself, "This house has ghosts? Let them watch. I came here to live, not die." But outside, the old well sat in the yard, deep, dark, and waiting. The next morning, Daniel worked the land. He patched fences, cleared weeds, and tied his horse by the well. Every time he passed it, he felt something watching. That evening, he heard whispers, not wind, whispers. He grabbed his lantern and peered into the well. Darkness stared back. Then, a sound, a clink of metal. He lowered the lantern. The light caught something. Chains. And bones. Daniel stumbled back, breathing hard. "Lord Almighty!" The next day in town, he asked Old Man Fletcher, "What happened at the Crawford Ranch?" Fletcher froze. His voice shook. "Best not to ask. Some secrets are buried for a reason," Daniel pressed. Fletcher leaned in, whispering, "They say the Crawfords were killed, thrown into that well. Sheriff back then never investigated. Maybe didn't want to." Daniel's fists clenched. "Then I'll investigate myself." That night, Daniel tied a rope around his waist, lantern in hand, and lowered himself into the well. The air was damp, choking. The light revealed skeletons tangled in chains and in the dirt, a metal lockbox. He dragged it out. Inside, gold coins and a badge. Sheriff's star, stained in blood. Daniel stared at the bloody badge under the lantern's glow. The letters were faint, but clear enough. Sheriff W.H. His heart pounded. Sheriff Walter Harker, the same man still running the town. Daniel clenched his fists. So that's why the Crawfords vanished. The sheriff wasn't blind. He was involved. The next morning, Daniel walked into town with the badge hidden in his coat. He stepped inside the saloon. Conversation died instantly. Sheriff Harker sat at his usual corner table, whiskey in hand, mustache curled, eyes sharp. "Well, if it ain't the poor farmer," Harker drawled. "How's the free land treatin' you?" Daniel forced a smile. "Land's fine, but I found something strange." The sheriff leaned forward, amused. "Strange, huh? Like what?" Daniel locked eyes with him. "Bones. In the well." The room went cold. The sheriff's hand twitched near his holster. "Careful, boy. That's dangerous talk." Daniel pushed harder. "Ever hear of the Crawfords? Folks say they vanished, but I saw the truth. They were murdered." Harker's smile cracked for a moment. Then he leaned back, chuckling. "Superstitions. You spend too much time talking to old drunks. Wells gather bones, that's all." But his eyes betrayed him. Later that night, Daniel found a note slipped under his door. "Leave the ranch, or the well will claim another." Daniel's jaw tightened. He held the bloody badge in his hand. "If the sheriff thinks fear will drive me out, he's about to learn otherwise." Daniel began asking questions in town. Most folks shut their doors, some whispered. An old widow finally spoke. "The Crawfords tried to expose him. They knew Harker was stealing from the town treasury. Next day, they were gone." Daniel's chest burned with rage. "And no one ever spoke?" Her eyes filled with tears. "Speak against Harker? You hang before sundown." Daniel returned to the ranch, more determined. But when he entered, his lantern flickered out. The silence was wrong. Someone was inside. He drew his revolver. "Who's there?" From the shadows, a deputy stepped out. Harker's man. "Sheriff says you've been asking too much, farmer." Daniel's hand tightened on the grip. "Then tell the sheriff this. I'm not afraid of him, and I'm not leaving." The deputy smirked, raising his gun. But Daniel fired first. The deputy fell, dead on the floor. Breathing hard, Daniel whispered, "This land took the Crawfords. It won't take me." The next morning, the streets of Bitter Creek buzzed with rumors. Sheriff Harker's deputy hadn't returned. Everyone knew why. By noon, Harker himself rode up to the deserted ranch, 6 riders behind him. Dust rose around them like a storm. Daniel stood at the porch, rifle in hand, jaw set. The sheriff dismounted slowly, boots crunching against the dirt. "You've made a mistake, farmer," Harker growled. "That land was supposed to stay dead. You should have left it alone." Daniel raised his rifle. "You killed the Crawfords, buried their bones in that well, and you wore this badge." He tossed the bloody star at Harker's feet, like it meant something. The sheriff sneered. "That badge bought me power. Power your father never had. Power no farmer will ever take from me." He drew his revolver with lightning speed. But Daniel had been waiting. His rifle cracked. One of Harker's men fell. The standoff exploded into chaos. Gunfire thundered. Dust and smoke swallowed the yard. Daniel ducked behind the porch, bullets splitting wood inches from his head. He reloaded fast, heart pounding. Another shot. Another rider dropped. But the sheriff advanced, relentless, his revolver spitting fire. Finally, silence. Only 2 men left standing, Daniel and Harker. The sheriff laughed, sweat dripping down his brow. "You think you're a hero? You're just another corpse waiting to drop." Daniel stepped forward, rifle aimed steady. "No. I'm the farmer who came for land, and found justice instead." Both men fired at once. The sheriff staggered, clutching his chest, the stolen badge falling into the dirt beside him. His last breath rattled out. Daniel stood over him, chest heaving, smoke curling from his rifle. The curse of the ranch had finally spoken. The town buried the Crawfords properly that week. Their remains lifted from the well, laid to rest with honor. Daniel stood at the graves, hat in hand. "You were forgotten, but no more." The townsfolk gathered, whispers turning to thanks. For the first time in years, Bitter Creek felt free. Sarah, the widow who had warned him, touched his arm. "You risked everything, Daniel." "Why?" He looked at the sky, voice heavy. "Because land without justice is just dirt. But land with truth, that's a home worth fighting for." He returned to the ranch. The fences were still broken, the house still scarred, but it was his now, and no longer cursed. As Daniel dug new soil, he spoke to himself. "This ranch was built on blood. From today, it'll be built on hope." He hung the sheriff's bloody badge on the well, not as a symbol of power, but a warning. And to every soul who passed, the message was clear. Evil can bury secrets, but the truth always climbs out of the well. And now tell me, if you were Daniel, would you have stayed on the cursed ranch or left it behind? Tell me in the comments below,